There was a strange trail in the snow that appeared every winter near the old mill. The villagers often wondered about it. It began with the footprints of a fox, and ended with the footprints of a wolf carrying something upon his back. Nobody could explain it, but the old people smiled whenever they saw those tracks, because they remembered an old story. A story about a clever fox, a hungry wolf, and a winter long ago. So close your eyes and listen softly. Long ago, during a cold winter, the forest lay beneath a blanket of snow. The rivers moved slowly beneath thin ice, and food had become difficult to find. The wolf wandered through the woods searching for something to eat. But winter had been cruel. The rabbits hid deep beneath bushes. The birds had flown away, and even the mice seemed to have disappeared beneath the snow. The wolf grew hungrier and hungrier. Meanwhile, the fox was wandering near a village road, looking for food as well. Suddenly, she saw a cart coming down the snowy road. The cart belonged to fishermen, and it was loaded with fish. Many fish. Large fish. Silver fish. Enough fish to feed a hungry animal for many days. The fox's eyes sparkled. She quickly lay down in the middle of the road, perfectly still, as though she were dead. The fisherman noticed her immediately. "Look there," said one. "A dead fox." "What beautiful fur," said another. "We should take her home." The fisherman climbed down from the cart, picked up the fox, and tossed her onto the pile of fish. The fox remained perfectly still. The horses continued along the snowy road. The wheels creaked softly, and the fishermen talked among themselves. Meanwhile, the fox quietly opened one eye, then the other, and when she was certain nobody was watching, she began tossing fish from the cart. One by one. Plop. A fish landed in the snow. Plop. Another fish followed. Again. And again. And again. Soon a long trail of fish stretched behind the cart, across the snowy road, and into the forest. When the fisherman finally reached the village, the fox jumped from the cart, ran away into the woods, and disappeared. By the time the fisherman noticed, she was already gone. The fox returned along the road collecting every fish she had thrown. Soon she had gathered a large pile, enough to make any hungry animal happy. She sat beside the fish, feeling very pleased with herself. Just then, the wolf appeared. His stomach growled loudly. The smell of fish drifted through the cold air. The wolf stared at the enormous pile. "Where did you get all those fish?" he asked. The fox pretended not to hear him, and continued eating. The wolf waited politely. Then he asked again, "Fox, where did you get all those fish?" The fox swallowed a bite, and smiled slyly. "Oh," she said, "I caught them myself." The wolf's ears lifted hopefully. "You caught them?" "Of course," said the fox. It is very easy. The wolf stepped closer. Will you teach me? The fox thought for a moment. Then a mischievous smile appeared on her face. Certainly, she said. There is a frozen pond not far from here. You simply sit beside the ice. Put your tail through a hole in the ice. And wait. The fish will bite your tail. The longer you wait, said the fox, the more fish you will catch. The wolf looked impressed. What a wonderful idea. And so, without asking another question, he hurried away toward the frozen pond. The fox watched him go, then curled up beside her pile of fish, and laughed quietly to herself. The wolf hurried through the snowy forest, following the fox's instructions exactly. Soon he reached a frozen pond. Quiet, cold, and covered with thick ice. Near the center, a small hole remained unfrozen. Dark water glimmered beneath it. The wolf looked around carefully. No fish yet, he muttered. Then he sat beside the hole and lowered his tail into the freezing water. The winter wind drifted softly across the pond. Snowflakes fell from the gray sky, and everything became still. The wolf waited patiently. An hour passed. Then another. The water grew colder and colder. But the wolf remembered the fox's words. The longer you wait, the more fish you will catch. So he stayed exactly where he was. Meanwhile, far away in the forest, the fox rested comfortably beside her pile of fish. Every now and then, she imagined the wolf sitting beside the pond, and chuckled to herself. Back at the pond, night slowly arrived. The stars appeared above the snow-covered trees. The moon rose pale and silver into the sky, and the cold grew even stronger. The wolf shivered, but still he waited. Suddenly, he tried to stand, but something felt strange. His tail would not move. The wolf pulled gently. Nothing happened. He pulled harder. Still nothing. His tail had frozen solid inside the ice. The wolf became worried. Very worried. Then from somewhere in the darkness, the fox appeared once again. She looked at the wolf, then at the frozen pond, then quickly looked away so he would not see her smile. How many fish have you caught? She asked sweetly. I cannot tell, said the wolf. My tail feels very heavy. The fox nodded seriously. Oh yes, she said. That means you have caught many fish. The fish must be enormous. The wolf's eyes widened. Really? Of course, said the fox. You should wait a little longer. Then she trotted away through the snow, trying very hard not to laugh. By morning, the wolf was cold, hungry, and miserable. Just then, several village women arrived carrying buckets. They had come to collect water from the pond. At first, they noticed the frozen wolf. Then they shouted loudly, A wolf. A wolf at the pond. The women grabbed sticks, buckets, and anything else they could find. The wolf panicked. He tried to run, but his tail remained trapped inside the ice. The women moved closer. The wolf pulled harder, and harder, and harder. At last, crack! His tail broke free. Or rather, part of it did. The wolf tumbled across the snow and ran as fast as he could, while the women shouted behind him. When he finally stopped running, he looked back sadly. His beautiful tail was now much shorter than before. And still, he had not caught a single fish. Not one. The wolf slowly realized something. The fox had tricked him. Again. And again. And again. Yet somehow, the wolf still hoped the fox might become his friend. Several days later, the wolf wandered near an old mill. The mill stood beside a river. Its wooden wheel turned slowly in the cold water. Inside, the miller ground grain into flour. The smell drifted pleasantly through the winter air. The fox arrived there first. She slipped quietly inside the mill and discovered sacks of flour stacked against the wall. A clever idea appeared immediately. The fox climbed into the flour, rolled around happily, and soon became completely white, from nose to tail. When she stepped back outside, she looked as though she had been terribly injured, or perhaps beaten badly. The flour covered every inch of her fur. Not long afterward, the wolf arrived. He stared at the fox in shock. "What happened to you?" he asked. The fox groaned dramatically. "Oh dear. Oh, my poor head. My poor body. I have suffered greatly." The wolf felt sorry for her at once. Even after the frozen tail, even after the fish, he still felt sympathy. The fox sighed heavily. "I can barely walk," she whispered. "I fear I may never recover." The wolf lowered his ears sadly. "That is terrible," he said. The fox nodded weakly. "Indeed." Then she lay down in the snow, as though she had no strength left at all. The wolf thought for a moment. Then he spoke kindly. "If you are hurt, I can carry you." The fox secretly smiled, but outwardly, she looked very grateful. "Oh, wolf," she whispered, "you are too kind." And with surprising speed for an injured animal, she climbed onto his back. The wolf began walking slowly through the snowy forest, carrying the fox. The wolf walked slowly through the snowy forest, while the fox rested comfortably upon his back. The winter sun shone softly through the trees. Snow sparkled like tiny diamonds beneath the light, and the forest seemed peaceful once more. The wolf carried the fox carefully, trying not to disturb her. After all, she was injured. Or so he believed. The fox sighed dramatically every few moments. "Oh dear. My poor head. My poor paws. My poor back. The wolf nodded sympathetically. I hope you recover soon, he said kindly. The fox almost laughed, but quickly turned it into another groan. You are a very good friend, she whispered. The wolf smiled proudly and continued walking. For a long while, only the crunch of snow could be heard beneath his paws. Then suddenly, the fox began muttering quietly to herself. At first, the wolf could not hear clearly, but little by little, the words became louder. The sick rides, the fox whispered. The healthy carries. The sick rides. The healthy carries. Again. And again. And again. The wolf frowned slightly. What was that? He asked. The fox immediately shook her head. Nothing, she replied sweetly. Only a little song to help me forget my pain. The wolf nodded. That seemed reasonable. And so he continued walking. The fox waited until he relaxed again. Then she quietly resumed her little song. The sick rides. The healthy carries. The sick rides. The healthy carries. This time, the wolf heard every word. He stopped walking immediately. The forest grew silent. The fox froze. Slowly, the wolf turned his head. What exactly does that mean? He asked. For a moment, the fox searched desperately for an answer. But none came. The wolf remembered the fish, the frozen pond, his missing tail, the flour at the mill. And suddenly, everything became clear. The fox was not injured at all. She had tricked him again. And again. And again. For several long moments. Neither animal spoke. Snow drifted gently around them, landing softly upon the branches above. At last, the fox sighed. Then she climbed down from the wolf's back. You are right, she admitted quietly. I was never hurt. The wolf lowered his eyes sadly. I know. The fox sat in the snow for a moment, looking much less proud than usual. You must think I am terrible, she said. The wolf thought carefully before answering. You are very clever, he said. But sometimes, you use your cleverness in the wrong way. The fox stared at him in surprise. She expected anger. Perhaps shouting. Perhaps revenge. Instead, the wolf simply sounded disappointed. And somehow, that felt worse. The winter wind drifted quietly through the trees. For the first time in a long while, the fox felt ashamed. Not because she had been caught, but because she had hurt someone who had shown her kindness. Just then, music floated through the forest. Very faintly, carried by the wind. The sound of pipes, drums, and laughter. The fox lifted her ears. A wedding, she said. The wolf listened too. Indeed. Somewhere nearby, A village wedding celebration was taking place. Warm food, fresh bread, music, and dancing. The smell drifted all the way into the forest. The fox's stomach growled immediately. So did the wolf's. The two animals looked at one another, then toward the distant village, then back at one another again. The fox smiled carefully. "This time," she said, "no tricks." The wolf raised an eyebrow. "No tricks? No tricks," the fox promised. Together, they quietly approached the village. The wedding celebration filled the square with light and music. Lanterns glowed warmly in the evening darkness, and long tables overflowed with food. The villagers laughed, danced, and celebrated late into the night. The wolf and the fox remained hidden behind a fence, watching carefully. Eventually, when everyone became distracted by dancing, the fox slipped quietly toward a table. The wolf followed, though much more nervously. Together, they managed to grab a few scraps of bread, some meat, and several pieces of pie. Not enough to cause trouble, but enough to satisfy two hungry animals. Then they slipped away into the darkness once more, far beyond the village lights. They sat beneath a snowy pine tree, sharing their meal quietly. For a while, neither spoke. Then the fox looked toward the wolf. "You know," she said softly, "I really am sorry." The wolf chewed thoughtfully, then nodded. "I know." The fox smiled. A genuine smile this time. Not a clever one. Not a tricky one. Just honest. And so, the wolf and the fox finished their meal beneath the stars, while snow drifted softly through the winter forest. The old people still tell this story today. And whenever someone is being a little too clever for their own good, they smile and remember the fox. And whenever someone helps another despite being treated unfairly, they remember the wolf. And most of all, they remember the little song that echoed through the snowy forest long ago.